Welcome to the Total Connector Show and to the Total Bitcoin Show. My name is Kevan Davani. I want to go review a little bit of the recent events and updates and announcements I want to make. Actually, I was going to have planned a scheduled interview with Neil Woodfine, but unfortunately for health reasons, we got to postpone this. So let me go through some of the things that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me, for listening. All right, so I guess you can hear me. Yeah. All right, so what's been going on lately is that, let me see if I have, yeah, this is Neil Woodfine. You should definitely check out his latest, one of his latest Twitter threads. It's really good. It went very viral because it's substantially important for when it comes to, to making yourself independent of the internet and of the power grid, naturally. So I would definitely go on his Twitter's handle. It's, let me see what it is. It's Neil Woodfine. His Twitter handle is Woodfine. Yeah, and like a North and Woodfine. And Woodfine. His name is Neil Woodfine. So check him out. He's definitely one of the best in the space when it comes to explaining and educating people about the potential of internet independent transaction communication, and when it comes to privacy, decentralization. So what I want to first emphasize is that if you don't have a hardware wallet yet, get yourself a hardware wallet. At least get yourself a Trezor. I can only recommend that because I know from experience and from comparison. Get yourself a hardware wallet. If you don't have a full node, as I don't have still a full node, but a lot of people like me are waiting for the Casa 2 from Casa. So it's going to probably going to arrive in the next few weeks, especially those ones that haven't had the first version yet. And I contacted support of Casa, and they told me that it's going to take a little bit more time. They had to postpone it for a few weeks. So because it's going to be shipped or delivered in tranches, depending when they're going to send it, where they're going to send it. So in the next weeks, if you have ordered a Casa 2, be assured you're going to receive it. You're going to receive a tracking link where you can just follow up on the status of your delivery. So with everything is going on in the space, educationally wise, like for example, all these workshops, online workshops, live workshops, in an attempt to coach, to mentor, to educate people on the necessity, on the procedure of getting yourself not only hardware wallet or how to do Bitcoin transactions, in a most secure and private way, but also running your full node. Why a full node? Because you want to self-validate, self-verify everything. Do not trust, verify when it comes to the hardest and scarcest money ever created. But still, we're all going through stages. We're all going through baby steps, as I've been going, still going, through all these educational steps. So, buying yourself some Bitcoin or a few Satoshis or whatever fraction of a Bitcoin on an exchange is the very first step. Would it be, let's not even go into custodial or, KYC, non-KYC, all these things. So most people, and I guess it's like 99% of all people, they're going to get themselves their Bitcoin pretty much, on a know your customer KYC data sucked up exchange platform where they have everything from you. They got your data, your information, your passport, they know where you live. It's as I said, in one of the interviews, also in one of my latest interviews with Giacomo Zucco, you should definitely check him out. It was a brilliant interview, so much content, so much substance. So this is what I said, it's not, it's one thing, to be concerned about the regulators, the law, the state, the nation state, the regulators and the lawmakers, and the financial authorities. But it's another thing to, I'm more concerned about, getting those data, those information of all these individuals, of all of us, getting leaked to criminals. Because if these things get out of control, this is totally irresponsible. As Giacomo Zucca also agrees with me. It's totally irresponsible, totally extremely dangerous, extremely risky. But we don't have much choice right now, so we can really hope for the best and try to mitigate those risks by, first of all, when you buy your Bitcoin on an exchange, and before you transfer them to a hardware wallet, make sure you have. To be honest with you, I don't have Wasabi, the coin join Wasabi, because it was just too, I don't know, not too complex, but it's just really too burdensome. You constantly have to educate yourself, update this and that, and really mark these transactions, mark that transaction. It's just a little bit. So what we really need, we need more people. If Steve Jobs was still alive, I'm not a big fan of Steve Jobs in any, not big, and I'm not an Apple fan or whatever, but I'm just saying, when it comes to the vision, to the implementation of a vision, to the, to the bigger picture, or making it really useful, making it more intuitive, all these applications, the platforms, the technology. So, creating value, creating usability, creating, user-friendly experience, right? User interfaces, creating an interaction that is by default intuitive, self-explanatory. This is what we need. So until then, we need to, I guess, as much as possible, educate ourselves and go through all these steps, right? So you got yourself some Bitcoin on an exchange. The second step, you get yourself a hardware wallet. You transfer it directly from your exchange account to your hardware wallet. At least it's safe. You got your private keys. You got it secured. You got it really under the hood. Everything is fine. But then you find out, well, maybe you should, before you transfer them directly to your hardware wallet, maybe you should, coin mix your Satoshi, your Bitcoin. So this is where you think, okay, should I get myself, should I download the Wasabi wallet? Should I download the Samurai wallet with its Whirlpool? Which, by the way, we're hoping that the mobile mixing feature of Samurai wallets on your mobile, gonna come pretty soon, and then it's gonna be by default. And then, the next step again is to talk about the full node again. Is that's like a really headache, because when it's connected sort of to, when you have to educate yourself so much that you need to know, what to do, what command lines you need to enter, what kind of hardware you need, what happens if there, you know, if there's an update, what if something goes wrong. So this is why I would recommend everyone get yourself something that it just works as a plug and play, right? This is why Casa, or in this case the Casa 2, which is just being delivered in right now or in the next few weeks to everybody who has ordered it. I think, yeah, after talking also to Hess McCook, whom I really respect a lot for his knowledge, for his ethos, for his, you know, sharing his wisdom. Should definitely check out his YouTube channel and his articles, or on Twitter. Is that, yeah, it's worth the money, and it's plug and play. It's got an ecosystem behind it. That means when you have a Casa, when you got not only your full node, you got your, you know, you can stack sats, you know, by connecting it to your mobile wallet, and on a regular basis, like every time you check, or so, maybe not every time, but, you know, in regular intervals, when you check whether everything is connected and, you know, everything is synced, so you get sort of a nice reward of, I don't know how much, whether it's like 10,000 satoshis or something like that. So you get each time. It's nice, you know, to have like a live feed, you get yourself some satoshis for self-validating, for helping the, securing the network. And you're self-validating, you're self-verifying, do not trust, verify. So for most people, right, we need more solutions like that. With whatever that is, whether it's the mobile wallet, whether it's the coin mixing or coin joining, you know, for the sake of privacy, for the sake of fungibility, for the sake of, not only staying private, but enhancing, increasing your privacy, fungibility, so we need more creative solutions. We need more intuitive solutions. We need much better user interface and user experience, and it's gonna come. It's gonna come, and I think as I see myself, I'm more sort of I'm trying always to see the bigger picture. What is really needed? What is the desire? What are these people out there, even if they don't understand really what Bitcoin is for, what is the ethos, the potential, the vision behind Bitcoin, the real, not only revolutionary, we have no time for revolutions or Occupy bullshit. It's really time for evolution, for a real transformation, tackling and solving problems at the root. And that is Bitcoin. That is money. The hardest and scarcest money ever created in human history. It's open, borderless, censorship resistant, immutable, uncensorable, unconfiscatable. It has all the monetary properties. It's divisible, it's fungible, it's cognizable, it's recognizable, as we would say. It is, of course it's virtual. It's totally virtual, right? But that's the prime feature actually of Bitcoin, because it cannot be confiscated, right? If you got gold, how do you want to scrape it off? How do you want to transport it, especially if it's such a heavy, thing, and it's very, it's a material thing. It's heavy, and then you gotta, how are you gonna assay the validity, the authenticity, the purity of the gold? How are you going to protect it? You got to store it somewhere, right? You got to have like a really good vault or whatever. How are you going to pay, at the grocery if the shit hits the fan one day? So all these things, right? So that's why we need more creative solutions. We need more intuitive solutions. So you would be one of those voices. So if you want to vote with your money, vote with your understanding, with your comprehension. Make yourself heard. Go on Twitter and really say, hey, we want to have more creative solutions. We want to help not only ourselves but other people, our families, our beloved ones, our neighbors, our friends, our societies, our neighbors, our whole human civilization. So this is not really a philosophical talk. It really goes to the practicality of how do we want to transform these things, right? How do we want to implement? Because why? Because if cash becomes, as you've heard, cash is becoming more and more limited in, even in European EU countries. So how are we going to prepare ourselves, right? So if the government's in collusion with the central banks, or should I say more, the government's under the control of the central banks, push and accelerate this process of banning cash, introducing we already have a digital currency, and that's fiat, right? So 10% of all the money is in material money, right? In paper money or in coins, but 90% is already digital, but it's centralized, right? So what we have with Bitcoin, for the first time in human history, we not only have like the hardest and scarcest money ever created, but we have a money that is totally virtual, totally digital, but absolutely and totally decentralized, right? And it's borderless. It's unconfiscatable. It's unstoppable. It is censorship resistant. It is until now. It's not anonymous, but it's pseudonymous, right? So as long as people do not, as long as you do not make mistakes to sort of disclose sort of your or to turn everything upside down by for example, avoid reusing addresses. Like for every transaction, use a new address. These are the small tips I can give you, right? Or you're given on a daily basis by other Bitcoiners. Do not reuse addresses. Just even if you're not still not able to coin join or coin mix, but you can, right? So you can download your mobile wallet, like from Samurai. It's for free, right? Samurai wallet. Get yourself the Whirlpool application on your desktop. Transfer the money to your Samurai to your Whirlpool address. Do a pre-mix, do a post-mix. The post-mix are for free, right? And then don't transfer it all at once to your hardware wallet. Do it in portions, right? In fractured portions. So don't, otherwise you're going to make all these deterministic links. You're going to make these sort of the deterministic links that you sort of cut off previously. If you transfer the whole amount again from your Summer wallet or from your Whirlpool directly to your hardware wallet, you're going to reverse this whole obfuscation sort of. So just cut it in pieces and transfer it to your hardware wallet after pre-mixing, post-mixing, and all this, or coin joining, as we would say. So there's a lot of, advice still I really want to give you, but since I'm not a techie, I don't even want to go there, because I see myself as a measuring stick for the average person out there, for average noob out there. And I hear that on a daily basis, from my girlfriend, from everybody who I've made to a Bitcoiner, right? Educated them, I set them up, I helped them with a hardware wallet, with helping them, with their setting up an exchange account and everything else. But they still have troubles, right? They still have questions because it's too complicated, it's too complex, it's just too much technical intricacies, and too much technical details, right? You gotta be really technical savvy, experience. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta understand English for a lot of things. Of course, there's a lot of, translate a lot of other languages, whether it be books and this and that, but still, it's just too much. It's too complex. So what we need more plug and play. We need more, really ethical people, creative people trustworthy people who know what they're doing, who know how to, to get together their brains. And there's so many, brilliant minds out there, really brilliant brains out there. If we can just fuse them together and really have a dynamic interplay of communication, of trial and error, of experiment, like, increase the efficiency of the speed of evolution, of development, of trial and error. Of course, yeah, we all got to make mistakes, but I think if all these techies, the developers, the coders, the product developers, from different fields, from different, product segments would come together, this is what I'm saying. We need more people like, if Jack Dorsey of Twitter, or Elon Musk, or if Steve Jobs was still alive. Like, these people are really, it's funny, by the way, a lot of these genius minds, whether it be researchers, scientists, product developers, entrepreneurs, it's funny that they all had either, not all of them, but many of them had either, a psychedelic, mind-enhancing, conscious expanding experience, and or had a near-death experience. It's very funny. Just to go into the autobiography and into the stories, into their intimate stories, how they developed their ideas, how they became more and more creative, how they got their enlightenment, their ideas, creating value, creating products, So I'm convinced, I trust in the power of dynamic development, of dynamic creativity. But it needs more communication. It needs more empathy. It needs more understanding, comprehension. What is needed? What does the average human being out there really need, right? So I'm just saying, if things come unexpectedly in a negative and positive way, we need to be prepared. What if the crash in the European Union, Germany, or whatever, comes much faster than expected? What if inflation, hyperinflation, negative interest rates already, in about 20, 25, 30% of all banks in Germany, already there, right? We got negative rates on savings accounts, of retail accounts, on depositing accounts. So what are we really waiting for? This is why I'm telling you, I'm just advising you, or really urging you, whatever you can do it. Whatever you can share it. Whatever you can educate yourself on, educate yourself. Because I think a lot of people in this space, in the Bitcoin space, don't get. People are just, we're all as humanity are so dumbed down, are so brainwashed, are so conditioned, and we all, are all. It's not about comparing things, but we're all on a different comprehension level. So we need to go into each one of us into a specific rabbit hole, and eventually into the Bitcoin rabbit hole. But it needs time. It needs patience. It really requires patience, time. It needs an open mind. It needs self-education. It needs inspirations. It needs communication, and I don't know, well, I do know that most people just don't have the time. They're working, they have family, they have children. They got to take care of their children. They got to take care of their families. They got to, work off their asses, pay back debts, build up some kind of structure, a life for themselves. So where are they gonna, take the free time, the patience? So we need more creative people. We need more cooperation. We need more collaboration. We need more empathy. We need more creativity. We need more really comprehension of the bigger picture. Where are we going? Why Bitcoin? Why are we doing this for? And it's for this evolutionary process we're doing, because things are really mounting up. What if it comes to war? Let's just say a more isolated war in the Middle East. Things are going to get really, really fucked up and nasty. On a, whether it be trade, currencies, devaluation, debasement, inflation, hyperinflation, more sanctions, more embargoes, trading, the trading structure going to break down. unemployment going to rise exponentially. I'm not even talking about, third world. I'm talking about European Union, like the more, the developed rich countries, the Western world, the civilized world. We're going to really see a lot of mess. So we need to prepare ourselves and not only think positive, but really do something positive, do something constructive, do something useful. And really do not, we should stop treating symptoms. We should really solve the problems at the root, and that is money, as a store of value, medium of exchange, unit of account, as a fabric of society, as as something of value. We need to create something of value. And this is where, it's going to start to break, going to break free from everything else. So eventually, yes, we will have to break free even from the internet, or make ourselves independent, sort of as a reserve technology, right? So if everything breaks down, we still have, local mesh network, radio low bandwidth frequencies, satellite connections we already have. We're going to hook up with local mesh network. We're going to broadcast Bitcoin transactions. We can send even messages. So we can build up a totally new civilization, right? With technology. This is what we need technology for, right? So the technology is supposed to serve us, human beings, society, civilization, and not, the criminals, the sociopaths, the psychopaths, the control obsessive, elites, or whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to call them, right? But the warmongers. So, we were watching this documentary with an interview with Aaron Russo. You should definitely check him out. Aaron Russo, who was friends eventually in the beginning with Rockefellers, and eventually he got to know, what they're really up to, So, and he said, this is not about wealth. They got all the money. They could just print it out of thin air or create it or whatever, and this is about control. This is about controlling humanity. It's sort of their, their religion, their sick, religion. And this is why, we need to take self-responsibility into our own hands and create and educate and share and everything else, right? So check out Freedom. I think it's called Freedom. I think it's called, the documentary he made is Freedom to Fascism, from Freedom to Fascism. And he also talks about, central banking structure, the Bank of International Settlements, the controlling structures. So education, knowledge, comprehension is really, really important. That's why each and every one of us needs to go at least once really into the rabbit hole and then understand the problem, the root cause, and then individually, collectively, together, working together, collaborating together, communicating with one another, building new infrastructures, new soil, and new architecture, as Andreas Antonopoulos always teaches, about decentralization, real decentralization, open, borderless, censorship resistant, immutable, unconfiscatable. All these, properties, all these things that can carry us, that can help us flourish, blossom into a totally new civilization, which we have, by the way, lost. We lost at least 100 years of time, of evolution, of development, of technologies, which have been either suppressed or confiscated, seized in the name of national security. This is very important. I know I'm repeating myself sometimes, but where we just imagine where we would be, if Tesla would have been allowed to come out with these technologies, but no. JP Morgan, all these other central bankers and elites, or whatever you call it, these psychopaths, sociopaths, control obsessive, parasites, they just didn't want them, didn't want us to have, a blossoming, flourishing technology, civilization. and prosperity, right? So anyway, get yourself a hardware wallet, get yourself a Trezor hardware wallet, get yourself a full node, get yourself a Casa, because it's the easiest. Unfortunately, I don't have any other alternative, like really practical, easy to use, plug and play full node. That's a Casa, right? I'm sure competition is gonna come, and that would be my dream, my vision, to get all these really super brains together, these ethical, creative, knowledgeable people together, and develop a really much more affordable, because it's really expensive. I mean, Casa 2, it's worth the money, but still, I'm not sure how many people on this planet can really afford $300, and then additionally, $300 per year if you're, sort of continuing the subscription. Otherwise, you won't really need probably the subscription. It's just if you lose one of your, one of your keys, you sort of have a backup, right? And it's sort of a multi-sig thing, right? So otherwise, you'll get sort of you will get deducted like 0.1% of the total amount of something, right? So it's a trade-off, right? So you got to think of all these trade-offs. But we need more competition, we need more entrepreneurship, we need more creativity, and I know it's coming. I just need to push it more forward, emphasize it more. Also in my interviews, I know I'm maybe a little bit more irritating, but I need to keep asking all these questions over and over and over again. How can we make it more usable? How can we make it more easy? How can we more intuitive? How can we make it more plug and play? How can we, trigger the critical adoption rate? Eventually, ushering into a mass adoption. But I'm talking about the critical adoption rate. That's like 3, 4, 5% of the total Earth's population and civilization. All right, that's about it. Thank you so much for listening, so much for support. If you want to really do me a favor, follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is KVandavani. Read my articles on medium.com/@KVandavani. Follow me on LinkedIn, or on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube right now. Push the notification button. If you want, you can support me on Patreon. You can pay me to PayPal. You can do a lot of things. You can go on all my podcast platform, from Anchor to Google Podcast to Apple Podcast, iTunes. Leave me a positive review. You can share, retweet, repost, whatever you do something so we can, exponentially increase this process of information sharing, of knowledge sharing, of education. All right. Thank you so much for your support, for listening. And if you have any questions, get back to me. It's hello@thetotalconnector.com, my email address, or kd@kevandavani.com. All right, I'll see you again, and thank you so much for listening and for your support. And the Total Connector says bye. Have a great day.